in Cuba, Belgium, Brazil, Congo, UK and all over the USA to crowds from 14 to 40,000. International leadership speaker, trainer and coach. Author of Learn to Raw Leadership, Attitude Hack, Live a More Excellent Life, 5 Battle Strategies of a Victorious Warrior. 2021 President's Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. Founding partner of the John Maxwell team. Toastmaster International Speech Competition semi-finalist. Founder of Tell It Like It Is TV, ThatGuyRocks.com and ThatGuySpeaks.com. Creator of Story Power TV, Transforming Grace TV, and Leading Leaders Podcast. Producer of 4 TV programs and podcasts for Liftable TV and World Trumpet Television as well as multiple social media channels. Please help me welcome J Loren Norris.
Do you remember, I can't remember the name of the movie, maybe it was 48 Hours, but it had Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker in it. And I love the moment when they're sitting in the car together and they're talking, and Chris Tucker just keeps getting louder and louder and louder and louder and louder and louder and louder. And finally he says to Jackie Chan, "Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?" And Jackie Chan looks at him and says, "Yes, I am Chinese, not deaf." See, that communication gap is a communication gap that's not just about hearing and not hearing, about culture and a different culture, or even a different cadence in speaking. See, sometimes we have everything we need to say right here without a single word. If you've ever had that look from your parents, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's what I want to talk about in the realm of leadership today on Leading Leaders.
Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.
I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast, and I don't know if you've seen these memes lately, and the filters that are capable of making it look like you're in a different emotional state than you are. The one that's most popular right now seems to be the one where the filter can be used live. And a lot of people are doing it by holding up the phone and then asking people, "Why are you upset?" And the person looking at the backside of the phone camera doesn't realize that the filter is making it look like they're crying. It distorts their face, it distorts their voice, it distorts their intonation and their inflection. And every social cue we would read, besides the ability to understand the dialect that comes from our facial expression and our tonality and our volume, all of those things are distorted by this one filter. Now, if you've ever worked with someone who has a really hard problem communicating, and especially people with Down syndrome or on the spectrum autism, those people generally have a different way of communicating what their wants and needs are. And it takes a lot of patience and a lot of diligence and a lot of passionate concern for that individual, for someone who's working with them to understand what their cues are. If you get too close and touch them, you may think they're responding violently when they're actually responding in fear. Their social cues, their emotional responses are completely different. But see, for the most part, leaders who manage people, leaders who lead teams, leaders who lead families and multinational organizations have learned to pick up on the cues, the body language, the facial expressions, the raising of an eyebrow, the rolling of eyeballs. In fact, I have a coaching client I'm working with right now, and she told me the other day that although her mother's been blind for a while now, her mother swears that she can hear her eyeballs rolling, whether they're on the phone or they're face-to-face. Now, I'm guessing that's just a turn of phrase. It's just an expression to hear somebody's eye roll back. Because can you hear that? Let me get close to the mic. Nope, still can't hear that. I don't think it makes that much of a sound. But you know the expression means, I have a pretty good read on who you are, on your personality. I've got a pretty good idea that even though I can't see your face right now, I have a pretty good idea you're rolling your eyes back in your head. I know that your eyebrow is twitching, your eyelids are just going crazy because you're trying not to verbally respond to something that I've said or done. Now, I have a couple of different concerns with these filters that allow augmented reality to distort actual reality. I have an issue with, and I'm sure it's just my own hang up, there's nobody else in the world that has this issue, but this issue with the ability for a device, such as this device, to come between us and change the way we communicate, because it's almost nefariously doing so, in so much as right now the person holding the device may be the only person who knows that what the rest of the world is seeing about your facial expressions, the words that you've said, but they're the only ones that know, the person actually holding the device, doing the filming, running the filter. But what happens when it's not them? What happens when every time you stand in front of a camera, somebody kind of alters what your expressions are? You've heard me mention before the ability to imply an accusation of significant guilt by asking a question that's placed intentionally to cause doubt about someone's character integrity. So let me insert that here just in case you've missed it. Imagine you're at a Christmas party with your spouse, and a coworker, perhaps a superior, or maybe someone that answers to you through the course of the year, walks up and says to your spouse, "So what should I do the next time they touch me inappropriately? How would you like me to respond?" Now that question may be absolutely pointless because the touching has never happened. And the touching probably would never happen if you're a good leader of moral character. But the asking of the question is an implication that it has. And the curiosity that it may happen in the future or again in the future. And that alone is enough to place a shadow of doubt in your spouse. And trust me, if that same question were asked in front of an HR director, probably would lead to an investigation of inappropriate touching. If that kind of nefarious behavior, intentional manipulation of a relationship, is possible when you're face-to-face in reality, how much more possible is that when someone can distort what you're actually saying live in the moment while you're saying it? I shared a Facebook video that was being circulated yesterday. In fact, I challenge you to go to my regular Facebook timeline and watch the video, because it's a video of someone walking through their office place going, "Do you love to work here?" "Oh, I love working here. It's so awesome to work here." Everybody in the video responds with, "It's awesome working here. I love working here." But they're using this augmented reality filter to make it look like everyone who's saying that is saying so while crying, almost as if to say they're under duress. They're significantly stressed out. This is not what they really mean to say. They're only saying it because they have to. And while the words say one thing, the manipulated facial expression, the manipulated vocal tones caused by the software make you see something else. Now, as a leader, we've got to deal in reality, not augmented reality, not virtual reality, not made up reality, but reality. We have to deal with humans. We have to deal with bottom lines and profits and loss and productivity. Because if we don't, well, we're not leading well. And if we lose the ability to distinguish between reality and augmented reality, between someone's real emotions, how they actually feel about what you're saying or telling them or teaching them or training them with, and how they're actually responding to it, we've lost a lot. And we've lost the ability to control the things we're responsible for controlling, to lead the things we're responsible for leading, for influencing the things we're responsible for influencing. All of those go out the window when we can't communicate socially with the people we lead. Now, the other concern that I have about this particular software is that one of the comments made about artificial intelligence is that artificial intelligence is extremely fast in adapting to overcome the problem. Now, every good Marine, every good sailor has been taught adapt and overcome. Whatever crisis you're in, adapt to the current situation, the current circumstances, and overcome them and continue pressing forward. You don't let the circumstances overwhelm you. Well, humans have a certain scale of the ability to do that. I believe it's called the Moore's Law that talks about the speed of our technology. Artificial intelligence doesn't have that limitation on speed. In fact, artificial intelligence has the ability to make itself more intelligent very fast. But the one place that artificial intelligence, they believe, will always have a bit of a disadvantage over human intelligence is the ability to read the emotions of others. Empathy. Whether it's genuine empathy or feigned empathy, the ability for artificial intelligence to not have a mechanical, logical-only reaction to something, well, it's pretty rare. It's pretty slim margins. In fact, there are those who would say that AI will never reach the place of having a sympathetic ability to realize what others are going through, to empathize with them. It may see and recognize the emotion, but it cannot experience the emotion. When you lay that over an augmented reality that has the ability to read your laughter and make it sound like crying, to read your smile and make it look like you're crying, live, as it's being videoed, as it's being streamed. When you have AI that's doing that, you're not far from the ability to, at a minimum, mimic and alter your emotion. See, right now, the person holding the phone who hits start and hits stop and decides, will I use this or not, they're in control. But what happens when AI is? I'm going to tell you right now, as a leader and a communicator, you better get really good at communicating face-to-face, reading body language, listening to tonality, understanding what percentage of all of our communication is actually the words that we speak, regardless of the language or dialect that we speak. And if you don't get really good at that stuff now, you're going to find yourself very much behind the curve, because it's not going to be long before every communication we have is filtered by AI, and it will determine how you think and feel long before you have a chance to express yourself properly. I challenge you as leaders to become better communicators, face-to-face, in reality, and in writing, so that when it is you and another human, you can control the moment, or at least read the room well and not manipulate it. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.